everyone and welcome back. Welcome to my another video, and in this video we are going to cover full stack clone app, and the clone app is the Stack Overflow. So I hope you might have seen Stack Overflow, how it works, and here we are going to build the nice and clean prototype in our tech stack for the Stack Overflow, right? So this is going to be the single video. I changed my strategy. We are going to cover this in this lengthy video, so we will start from the scratch, and we are planning to build it end to end, the simple prototype which should be able to do the same set of features, like you post a questions and then random user should be able to answer that questions, add a comment, do the upvote, downvote, all those things we are going to have in this system. So first of all, I will just give you the highlights, like what all things we are planning to use. Here we can use Firebase for authentication and authorization. So this is Firebase, and for UI app development, we can just use simple React app or Nextjs. That depends on what we want to use. Okay, Nextjs 13. And for APIs, we are going to use Nestjs with, let's say, Prisma as an ORM. Okay, I have already discussed this Prisma ORM with the Nestjs, but now it's a good pair, Nestjs with the Prisma ORM, to talk about, and we will cover some of the services in this. Okay, it's not going to be the multiple video sessions. I'm trying to cover it in very few sessions because these videos will be lengthy. So here we are using Firebase for authentication, and we are going to write a simple services. So how the architecture of this service looks like, this particular stack looks like. Here is our React app. Okay, and let's make it as a blue. So this is our React app. React app will use this Firebase authentication. So you will just use Firebase auth provider, let's say the Firebase auth. With Google provider. So you should be able to log in with the Google, and that is actually a feature which Firebase provides. And once you do the login, you get a session token, we can say, right? Some kind of auth token once you do the login. Now the next thing we are going to do is once you do the login, we are going to access some of our APIs because we need to maintain the data. And I'm not trying to create some set of microservices and create a complex architecture. Here it's going to be simple two-tier architecture for this full stack clone app. So here it is, the APIs. And APIs are simple. We are going to have a questions, their answers by different users, comments, and maybe the votes. These will be the different entities which you will return the data. You will fetch the data from, let's say, the user we are managing in the Firebase. So there won't be anything like user entity in the database. We are managing user through the Firebase. And here we just need to have authentication and authorization. It should be simple authentication, that you are passing authorization header before accessing some of the questions and some of the answers. And these may be like a public APIs also, like in the Stack Overflow, you don't need to log in to see set of questions and the answers. But when you submit an answer, you need to have a login, right? Let's say I saw some Stack Overflow question and I wanted to submit my answer, then I need to record it, who actually submitted the answer. For that, you need to have a session exist, session available. So for that, we will be using this auth token to send while creating the answers. Similarly, while adding a comment to a particular answer, then you can use the same authorization header, and we will expose comments API, and then upvote and downvote. So this is plain two-tier application architecture because I don't want to make it complex. make it simple and clean end-to-end running application we are going to build. We are using Firebase authentication, and here also when you are accessing these APIs, for the protected APIs we are going to again talk to the Firebase for validating the authorization header which you are sending in the token. So it's like a simplified architecture with a few tables, but when we build end-to-end, obviously it consumes lots of time. We are going to do the live coding of this simple application. Here we are going to write a Nestjs REST API using Nextjs. Here these all will be the REST APIs. REST APIs, right? So REST APIs we are going to build and expose through the Nestjs. And data will be inside our Postgres. Postgres is a database, and we are not using different microservices. All these tables can be inside this one monolith, this REST API, which is exposing a questions API. Okay, give me all the questions, and then when you click onto the questions, question detail with all the submitted answers on the question. So there will be relationship one-to-many, and questions can further answers can further have comments. So single answer can have upvote, downvote, and further comments. So it is again one-to-many relationship. One answer can have multiple comments, and one question will have multiple answers. So let's keep it simplified, one-to-many, and one-to-many is the only relationship we are using in questions, answers, comments, and votes, upvotes entity. So once we have these REST APIs exposed, our front-end app, which is a React app, which is going to do authentication using Firebase, and once your session exists, you will be taken to the, let's say, the dashboard. There you are going to fetch all the questions, and when you click onto that questions, we are going to fetch all the answers with the comments and upvote, downvote. So here we are going to use the Nextjs with the Prisma ORM. It's like same as the TypeORM, but I mean it has its own differences. We are going to use Prisma client to access to the database. Okay, it exposes some database APIs, so it's actually a new thing. If we are using Nextjs 13 and use Prisma ORM for getting and saving the data in the database, then these two topics are really new, and those can make this full stack app more impressive, right? It's a simplified version, but we are going to explore lots of different tools here, because on the front end React app we are going to use a simple React router, we are going to use redux toolkit. So we will be creating a slices to store our data. Okay, and then we are going to do simple API integrations with our APIs. Okay, so this is the Nestjs, this is a simple React app, and on top of that, all these things is going to be inside one PN monorepo. We should not forget that we know how we are using NX console. So we are going to use NX monorepo with PNPM workspace. Okay, this is like a golden point if we are using these tools. And then React app with the Firebase provider, we'll do the login, we'll store the token inside a user session. Then whenever you are making API calls, we will fetch the user token from the session, and we will send that token in the authorization header. Okay, this is a very simplified architecture. We are going to add lots of things, and we will see how we are architecting the whole application, and we will keep building this one by one. So let's first talk about our database, and then we will move to building our APIs with baselining our monorepo setup. So these are a couple of tables we are going to use. The user table, we may not have it. I just put it to provide the reference to the other tables. So we are using Firebase. So once you do the login, you get the token, and using that token, we would know that who is this user, because token has your email profile, so and your user ID. Okay, so here we are going to have questions, answers, and the comment table, because my UI structure looks somewhat simple. So what we are going to have on the UI, if you see a simple Stack Overflow, right? We see some sort of questions. There may be what we can do is we can just list down all the favorite tags of the user. Okay, I selected tags like Node.js, React, and Nestjs. So you will be able to see all the latest questions on those tags and technologies. Now, when you click onto this particular question, there will be a detail page. Let's say this is the detail page, right? Which has a questions, and then for a particular questions, there may be a respective answers, right? Those answers like, okay, for this particular questions, these many people have answered. And then what you can do, either you can read them or you can start adding your own reply also. So that would be like you are answering for that particular question. So we'll add a new answer for you. Otherwise, what happens most of the time is you don't add answer. You are just either upvoting the answer or downvoting the answer or adding a new comment to the answer. So here there will be another entity we have is a comment. So you can add a comment on a particular answer. And then let's say I added some comment, and then you can keep adding those further comments. The only thing you need is on which particular answer you are adding a comment. So here I have this parent ID also, because this comment can be a whole lot of chain, right? One inside another, inside another. It can be a simple tree. So if the parent ID of the comment is null, then all those comments you are adding to that particular answer. But if parent ID is not null, that means you are adding a comment to a existing comment which is already there. So it's like self-referencing we are doing. So sometimes what happens is you added a comment to this, then some user added a comment on top of this, then some other user added a comment on top of this. So you are not adding a comment to the answer. Obviously you are adding a comment to the answer, but you are adding the reply to the existing commit which somebody has already done, right? So this answers and the comments are somewhat little tricky, and here we need to take care. Either you are adding an answer to the root question, or you are just adding a comment and just adding your reply, just feedback or some comment. Okay, so these are some of the entities we have. The question will contain, okay, what is the tag of the question? Is it a Node.js architecture type or basic core fundamentals? The technology, comment, and the user ID. Who is adding that question? Right now you will just see all the questions and you will start adding the answer for any selected question, because this is like a Stack Overflow where you can post your question and then wait for the answer submissions from any random user. Then logged in user will see, okay, these are the questions and I wanted to answer. You can answer a question only once you are logged in. So I will see the question, I will read through it, I will go through it, and then I will start adding the response to the question. So these are the answers, and then after adding the response, after adding the answers, you can also add a comment to an individual answer, or some other user will say, okay, these are the answer of this question. I can do is upvote, downvote, and I can reply comment or feedback comment. Okay, this is not correct, you need to correct this or that. So that is the comment. Comment can be just added under the answer directly, or comment can be added as a reply to the existing comment done by any other user. So this is a simple entity relationship diagram and the schema. Like these are the 3-4 tables we are going to have to manage the questions and their answers. Okay, so this is like our table structure looks like. And now we are going to build the APIs first. So we can just use simple Nextjs, and we are going to baseline the monorepo. So monorepo is nothing but, okay, we are going to use the PNPM workspace with the NX tooling. NX is a monorepo tool and the PNPM is the workspace. So PNPM we can use the package manager to create the workspace and bootstrap our React app and the Nestjs app initially. Then we will keep adding the packages and all. In existing applications, we are talking to the Postgres. Here also we are going to talk to the Postgres. I mean, we can think of using the MongoDB and all, but Postgres is fine. because here we are managing some kind of a relationship, and these are the three different tables. So in the monorepo we will add a React TypeScript app with the basic styling support. I mean, we may or may not use Tailwind, that I need to see what is my design. And then we are going to add a Nestjs application which can expose all the APIs, and the APIs mostly will be, okay, give me all the questions, and then give me the answers of this particular question. So I should be able to return all the answers of the questions or the list of all the questions. And what else, what other table we have is the comments. I can also fetch the comments if those comments exist for any particular answer ID. Okay, the user will be coming from the token, so we will have a user ID and the email of the user. So this was all about our database. Now we can focus more on building APIs and setting up our repository. So what do we have in repository? Everything is empty. So we are starting from ground zero. So I'm going to use a monorepo here. First we will just to initialize our package JSON, and then I will add pnpm workspace.yml, because we are going to use a pnpm workspace which enables the local linking of the dependencies. And how our structure is going to be is, if I talk about here, or maybe I can draw something here. So this is our whole repository, right? And we are going to have two main repo. One is a front end, which is a React TypeScript. Another is a Nestjs app. This is React TypeScript, and this is the pnpm workspace. And we are going to add NX monorepo tooling. Okay, so pnpm and NX, and now what we can do, we can create also some small packages. So here we are using this React app and Nestjs app for building the APIs, and this all is done through the pnpm monorepo, right? So we have these two different applications, and then we can also create some packages. And now these packages are simple TypeScript packages which we can add. Like if we are writing a different microservices, these packages can be a logger library for the Nestjs, or any reusable component library for React. Like I will create a reusable component, and those components we can import in the React TypeScript. So logger, config, any other packages like database. Or we are going to use Firebase, so it's like a Firebase auth package. It's like custom package we are building, and then we will add that package dependency locally, because this is what this pnpm provides. So what we are doing is, these both the applications are inside apps. Both the applications are inside apps. You can call them as an applications, and these are inside of packages. Okay, you can have another folder also inside of workspaces. So this is like a simple setup of pnpm workspace. Like you can also have an npm workspace, pnpm, or yarn workspace. The advantage of having a workspace is like you should be able to interlink or add the dependency of these packages inside application without even publishing them. So let's say a simple example. You want to write a simple auth module. That auth module is just like a simple Nestjs module which you want to use in multiple applications, multiple services. What you will do, you create a simple package, and that package can be added as a dependency locally inside your Nestjs app. You don't need to publish it to npm remote or git remote repository. What you need to do is you can interlink that by just adding a dependency version in the Nestjs app. It's just like a simple TypeScript package you will be building. So let's baseline our services and our workspace. So what do we have is pnpm workspace YML. So I did pnpm init, we got simple package JSON. But if I talk about, I'm already using these dependencies in my all the packages, so I will just replace this my package JSON. It is using all commit lint, husky, typescript, jest, all the root level dependencies which I need for my project. And then I will just create 2 more folders. So we have apps and we have packages. Don't worry about the dependencies which I have added here. You will understand it. I mean, these are just like you can see prettier, husky, ESLint, prettier ESLint, and then some commit conventions which I will be enforcing. And then we will create a commit lint config inside our root folder, and then prettier ignore, git ignore, ESLint rc, and ESLint ignore, right? These are some of the root files we will be adding. And then we will also be using Docker, right? Because we need to spin up the container for Postgres. So Docker compose, we will be using just only one container for now, because we are writing only one single Nestjs service, Postgres Stack Overflow. Okay, and same name we can put inside our Docker compose override. Rest we can remove. Okay, there is a volume mapping. Okay, so we have only one Docker container. That is just to have the Postgres database, and here I will just call it as a Overflow API. It's like a Stack Overflow clone we are building. Overflow API testing package JSON, and then we can also add a jest config, and then this is all about PNPM workspace. Now what I can do is, this has all the required dependencies I need. I can just do PNPM. First of all, I will initialize the git repository, git init, and then PNPM install. It will install all the dependencies which I have added inside my package JSON. That these are mostly dev dependencies, because we haven't added any applications yet. Applications will be added inside apps. All the packages will be added inside a packages folder. And then I need to add the nx as a dependency which is already there. You can see nx. Nx is a monorepo tool which require nx JSON, because with the nx JSON it knows like what all different tasks it needs to cache and all those things. And you can see it has generated pmpm lock YML. Currently we don't have any applications or the packages. We will add like Nestjs app and the React TypeScript app inside the apps, and packages if you want to build some packages which are some reusable code we wanted to put. Okay, and our simple readme file we will add. So this is like a simple root level structure. Now what I will do is, I will try to install add the Nestjs applications here. So open in the integrated terminal. I will just do, what is the create React app. Similarly, we have a nest CLI, nest new APIs, or you can say Overflow APIs. So I'm going to use PNPM here for adding this API service. So I'm adding this inside apps. Okay, and I can see my package JSON. I'll just replace it with the scope. Okay, and I can see that inside my PNPM console, open workspace, what happened? NX console, the UI for NX. Okay, I need to select the workspace, and I will select this workspace, and I can see I have only one project right now, which I can do build, and all these basic commands I can just execute there, right? Similarly, we can also add a React TypeScript app. So husky we already have, so I will just delete it. So let's see, npm run prepare. Do we have that script? Npm run build. So let's go to the root. Okay, do we have this script? Okay, husky installed. So I mean, it is just installing the git hooks, so that whenever you do a commit, because I have covered this baseline things in my all full stack clone apps, like how we are baselining a simple pnpm with nx monorepo. Nx is a monorepo tool, and pnpm is giving us this workspace feature where we can create these multiple folders and can interlink these packages, interlink the dependencies without even publishing any particular package to the remote. So let's say here inside these apps packages, I will just create, like, let's say Firebase auth. This is like package I'm creating. Now I will add the TypeScript code and all those things. And when I add the dependency of Firebase auth in my service, I don't need to publish it for it. It should be able to locally link the dependencies of Firebase auth in my application. Similarly, we can also add API logger. This is like a package, API config, API database. These are like some of the packages which you can think of creating. Okay, and this is my application. Similarly, my other applications which I want to create is a simple, the React TypeScript app, right? So how can we do that? React TypeScript template, create React app, TypeScript template. I think there is a one-liner command which we can execute, create React app, TypeScript template. So I will go inside apps and I will say Stack Overflow UI. Stack Overflow API and Stack Overflow UI. So these are like two different applications we are building. So this should be created inside my apps. It is adding this package.json and adding all the things which gets added by create React app. So just like a TypeScript template, so it will have a tsconfig, build script and all, whatever the TypeScript apps we have seen. So we are adding everything is a TypeScript. Nestjs also is a TypeScript framework on top of Express. There we will be writing the APIs about, okay, in the Stack Overflow you can raise a question, you can submit answer, you can add a reply, you can do upvote, downvote, and for authentication we will be using Firebase. So Firebase we are going to configure with the create React app. So once you do the Firebase, you get a token at the front end which you store inside a redux state or maybe in the local storage, and that token you will be sending to the APIs. So API needs to know the mechanism to validate it. And here this is inside a package.json. I will add the scope, and then we can just see the NX console. There I can see both the applications. Why it is coming twice? Stack Overflow UI, and here we have all these commands, build, start. So this API I can start dev. This is a simple Nestjs application, and another is a React app. You can see Nestjs application is started, and we have this React app. Where is this? It's also kind of started, I think. Stack Overflow UI. So I will go to NX console. Maybe this is the one. Now it is just running the simple build because it's a CLI app. Both are CLI application which we generated, and we have generated a stack folding of the code, like the basic folder structure which we get when you do create React app folder, create React app and application name. Similarly, we were using Nest CLI to create a simple Nestjs application. Now it's all about extending these applications, adding whatever we need, right? We need a Stack Overflow front-end components, login with the Firebase, and simple routing and all these setup, and we can also use Redux toolkit to manage the state. And for the backend APIs, we are using Nextjs, TypeORM, Postgres. And for authentication, because for protected APIs, we will be sending the Firebase token. We will be using Firebase admin to validate the token, and we need to initialize the Firebase instance at the server side. So that is our next task. So that, because we are building a simple full stack application in one shot, so all the dependencies which we have added. Now what we need to do here is, this API doesn't have much. This package JSON, you see, it doesn't have TypeORM, Nestjs, TypeORM, Postgres, and TypeORM dependencies. So we will add all the required dependencies here, and then we will bootstrap this particular application. What we will do is we can add the additional packages like config, logger, database packages externally inside the packages, right? And these packages we can use as a dependency in this Nestjs service. So my whole focus here in this API app is to write the APIs, not writing the additional packages of adding the logger, configurations, managing the database module using TypeORM, or any authentication using this Firebase token, which for that we will be using Firebase admin. So we will just focus on core business logic of writing the REST APIs, and rest all dependencies we will learn. I will explain you how to build a simple package, and with the help of that you can also build any kind of package that you can link inside your main application. So let's build our package. We can build any like config, logger, or database package, and then we will add that dependency inside our application. So let's add all the other required dependencies for our Nestjs application. So this is our Nestjs app, right, which has only the core dependencies which gets added by the CLI app. Now we will add all the other required dependencies. So we have a core common, we will need event emitter, we will need some dependencies related to Swagger, terminus, TypeORM, Swagger for generating a Swagger doc, terminus for doing a health check, TypeORM is for Nestjs TypeORM to deal with the database, and we need a Postgres. So I'm just looking for all the dependencies and keeps adding them. Winston, TypeORM, all these dependencies are required, so we are adding them as a main dependencies. And Swagger UI Express, because we are using Nestjs Swagger, so we need a Swagger UI Express. Let me check what else. Helmet, basic auth, express, debug. These are like some I'm copying from my baseline app which I'm always using, and then class validator, because that will do the validation of the payload, class validator and class transformer. These are the two modules which we needed for the data validations using validation pipes. Okay, and then we have a TypeORM, Postgres, Helmet for security, Express is the framework, Swagger UI Express to build the Swagger UI. Okay, so I think we have all the required package and the dependencies. Now in the dev dependencies we have a CLI, semantics, jest, node. Okay, let me see if anything we need to add. We have TypeScript, TS node. TypeScript we can keep only at the root level. If you want to create it as a separate dependency file, and jest we can remove from here, and we can create a simple jest config app inside this our folder, and inside test we can create a setup env var file, because you can see in jest config what we are saying is, for jest config setup files are like how to bootstrap the process.env for the test environment. Setup file is inside root, you get setup env vars, and inside test we can see that I created this file which is just reading this env.test. So now we need to create this env file, env test files and all, right? So let's create env and env test in the root .env. What I have created, sorry for the typo. .env file, and then we also need to create env test .env.test. So here we will manage the test dependencies. There we will manage the main dependencies, and we are using .env as a dependency. So let's see, do we have .env CLI and .env already added? If not, then we will add it as a dependency. So inside our package JSON, okay, it's not there, so we will add it. And now we can just go to our source main.ts, because we need to load the dependencies from this .env config, right? Means from .env file, whatever the variables you are putting, we need to put them inside a process.env. So this line will do that. This we do in almost every project, require .env.config. So whatever you are putting inside .env file will get added in a process.env. So we will also have a database URL that we need to add. So here we are going to see what port we are using in the Docker Compose override. So we are using 5436 for Overflow API, because we are using Postgres. 5436. So this is our database, because database we need because we are using Nextjs TypeORM. So we will be adding the typings and all. So inside source we are going to have, we will create a app folder, and the docs, and inside app you can create a domain. So there are multiple domain, like let's say questions, answers, comments, all these domains will be there, because we need isolation. So it's a question domain, all the question related APIs will be there: question module, question controller, question service. We are using Nestjs, right? So question, answer, and comments will also have upvote, downvote. So this is our app, and inside docs we are going to have a Swagger config, right? Simple Swagger interface. So this is my documents. Here I will put Swagger config. This is Stack Overflow APIs, and this is my simple swagger.ts. Now I need to build some packages which I was talking about. So let's say I updated the package JSON. So what I can do is I will go to the root and will do npm install. That will install all the dependencies. So I have Express Basic Auth, Swagger UI Express, Winston for the logging. I also need to install debug. So if you want to install a particular module, then you can also go inside the folder and you can just install it. So how can I do this? Okay, for now I will just put the debug here. In my package JSON, I need debug also. And let's see if any other big debug is already there. So we are good. So debug express class validator